So the whole family of coronaviruses are named coronavirus because corona means crown. And so this refers to the way that the virus looks under the microscope, like there's a crown on the top of the virus. Some 4 or 5 different kinds cause common diseases among humans, or moderate respiratory illnesses.
It's from a family called the coronaviruses. This illness are pretty mundane on the face of it. It's a dry cough, fever, and then breathing problems. It seems quite mild in lots of people, and probably those people don't end up in hospital at all. We only know about the more severe cases, which is where people have gone on to develop viral pneumonia. And those people obviously end up in hospital, and all the deaths have been amongst those people.
पाकिस्तान में कोरोना वायरस से पहली हलाकत हो चुकी है। वज़ारत कौमी सेहत के मुताबिक कोरोना वायरस से एक मरीज चल बसा है। पाकिस्तान में कोरोना वायरस से अब तक कोई हलाकत रिपोर्ट नहीं हुई थी और मजमूई तौर पर पाकिस्तान में अब तक 155 केसेस सामने आ चुके हैं। लेकिन अब यह अफसोसनाक खबर सामने आ रही है कि पाकिस्तान में कोरोना वायरस से पहली हलाकत हो चुकी है और महकमा सेहत की जानिब से सरकारी सतह पर इसकी तस्दीक भी की जा रही है। बताना है वज़ारत कौमी सेहत की जानिब से लाहौर के म्यू अस्पताल से ये इत्तला थी कि एक शख्स जिसमें मुबैना तौर पर कोरोना वायरस था वो हलाक हुआ और उसके बाद अभी ये तशख़ीस होना बाकी थी कि उस शख्स में कोरोना वायरस था या नहीं, मगर अब सरकारी सतह पर इस बात की तस्दीक की जा रही है कि कोरोना वायरस से पाकिस्तान में पहली हलाकत हो चुकी है। पंजाब से पहली हलाकत रिपोर्ट हुई है। बात करें
The growing coronavirus outbreak is causing chaos in global financial markets. It's freezing supply chains. It's causing companies all over the world to create work-from-home plans and ban business travel. In late January 2020, Chinese scientists in Shanghai released the fully sequenced genome of the novel coronavirus that was wreaking havoc in Hubei province. That kicked off the race at drug companies and government labs to develop a cure for coronavirus, or at least its symptoms.
In terms of vaccines, the U.S. has moved at a pace we have never seen before. Still, it's going to be at least a year to a year and a half until they have a vaccine broadly available to deploy.
First off, the coronavirus we're hearing about on a 24/7 basis these days belongs to a larger family of coronaviruses. That family of viruses includes the one that caused the SARS outbreak in 2002 and Middle East respiratory syndrome to spring up in 2012, is severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, or SARS-CoV-2. The one discovered in December 2019 in Wuhan, China, causes a disease that scientists decided to call COVID-19. This naming convention works the same way with HIV and AIDS. So HIV is the virus that causes AIDS, the disease. Symptoms of COVID-19 include fever, fatigue, and coughing. Some people become infected but don't develop any symptoms. Most people, around 80%, recover without any special treatment. About 1 in 6 people with the disease end up developing a serious illness. Older people and those with underlying medical conditions are most likely to come down with serious issues. The disease travels through small droplets that spread when people cough or sneeze. Those droplets land on objects, people touch those objects, and then touch their eyes, nose, or mouth. That's how people catch the new coronavirus. And there's no vaccine to prevent them from getting it. There's no vaccine for any of the coronaviruses, for that matter. The coronavirus's genetic sequence in January 2020. Moderna set a record within the drug industry for the speed at which it developed its vaccine candidate, after the coronavirus's genome was sequenced. For comparison, it took about 20 months to develop a vaccine to the human testing phase during the SARS outbreak in 2002. Moderna plans to start a small-scale human trial of the vaccine soon in Seattle, Washington, an epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak in the United States.
It will take about 3 months or more to show that it is safe. You've got to put it into what's called a phase 2 trial to show that it works. And the reason is there's a medical, ethical, and other considerations is that we'd be giving this to normal people to prevent infection. So you must be sure the edict of medicine, first do no harm. So we need to make sure it's safe and need to make sure it works. That entire process will take at least a year and a half.
Johnson & Johnson is also in the race. The company is working with BARDA on a potential treatment, but it's also developing a vaccine using a deactivated version of the coronavirus. As mentioned earlier, Sanofi is also working with BARDA on a coronavirus vaccine. It plans to have a vaccine candidate to test in a lab within 6 months and on people within a year to 18 months. But approval could be as long as 3 years away in preparedness innovations. Inovio is using the same method for the coronavirus vaccine as it did with its DNA vaccine against Middle East respiratory syndrome. Currently, there haven't been any DNA vaccines approved for use on humans.
Today, the United States has tested its very first coronavirus vaccine. It went to a volunteer that you see right here, 43-year-old Jennifer Haller, who is from Seattle. That's one of the hardest hit areas for this virus in the nation, Washington State, with over 840 cases. It's a fast-moving story, and she joins us right now, the very first coronavirus vaccine volunteer, Jennifer Haller, and back with us for a medical perspective, Anne Rimion, an epidemiologist at UCLA. Jennifer, thank you for what you're doing. Obviously, this fits into a lot of the different ways people are participating and trying to help around the nation. And thank you for being willing to talk with us.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. And I'm so excited to be the first person. This is crazy.
Yeah, right. Crazy is one word for it. I think it's got to have a lot of different feelings for you. Very straightforward. I'd love for you to just tell us, as they say in your own words, how did this come about, and walk us through what happened today.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks ago, there was a call for volunteers, and filled out a form and got a call back, and went through the phone screen, past that, went in person for a physical exam, blood draw. Everything looked good there, and
based on what you're learning and what you're participating in, where does this process go from here?
I do a daily log, temperature and any side effects that I'm feeling. I keep track of those. I, of course, call in if I have any issues. Do a phone call tomorrow, phone call the next day. I'll do weekly follow-ups, and then I'll get a second dose of the vaccine in, I think, about 4 weeks.
In terms of the vaccine that we're discussing right now, vaccines will take a while to be able to move forward and to be able to go through all the safety testing. There are a lot of regulatory aspects here, and what this woman is doing right now, which is really wonderful, is participating in a vaccine trial. In terms of tests, there are several tests that are coming online, and the more that we can get screening going rapidly, disseminated everywhere, the better we are, and the more that we'll understand what we have in this country in terms of burden of infection that will happen.
Right. So we're at the early phases of this vaccine trial, right? So phase 1, meaning small group of people are going to be evaluating for how they react, how well they do, if potentially there's some efficacy, also some early information about safety. But we have to remember, this is a really small trial that it will eventually lead to more participants, but we're still so early in evaluating this vaccine. It's incredible, a big backbone of public health, and we should be striving. But again, we're still many months out from having something that we can really deploy to the public.
For coronavirus, this might be it. In Seattle, US researchers have given the first shot of an experimental vaccine developed in record time.
Everybody's feeling so helpless right now, and I realized that there was something that I could do to help, and I'm excited to be here.
But it could still take a year to have something for universal use. Back in Washington, the president announced dramatic new steps to reduce the chance of spreading the disease.
My administration is recommending that all Americans, including the young and healthy, work to engage in schooling from home when possible, avoid gathering in groups of more than 10 people.
And spearheading the medical response in the US.
If you think you're here, you're really here because you're only getting the results. Therefore, it will always seem that the best way to address it would to be doing something that looks like it might be an overreaction.
And state governors, even Republicans, are urging the federal government to do more.
This is going to be much harder, take much longer, and be much worse than almost anyone is currently understanding.
Cities and states have already instructed bars and restaurants to close, but people are gathering in grocery stores and supermarkets trying to stock up on food and essential supplies.
Everyone, I think, is just in a bit of panic, and, it's scary.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the expert body on coronavirus, has released guidance for general public and healthcare professionals on the symptoms of the virus. A person could be at risk if they have any or all of the following: fever and symptoms of lower respiratory illness, such as coughing or difficulty breathing, after traveling to Wuhan or having close contact with someone who was ill and is now under investigation for the virus in the past 2 weeks. Lower respiratory illness after having close contact in the past 2 weeks with someone who's been confirmed to have the virus. For people who have weaker immune systems, like young children and older adults. To protect yourself from the virus, try to avoid contact with people who display symptoms similar to those of pneumonia or the common cold, like coughing or a runny nose. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water and scrub for at least 20 seconds. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer when possible. Avoid animals and animal markets. The only current treatment for coronavirus being offered is supportive in nature. If you notice any of these symptoms and conditions, please contact your nearest professional healthcare setup